Ambil juga kan? Jadi kat sana tak ambil. Yang ni kau ambil.
01.
Kali ini?
Ha? Ini?
It almost always begins with an innocuous knock on the door. After identifying themselves, the special branch officers would proceed to inform the suspect that he was being detained under the Internal Security Act before bundling him into the car and taking him to the nearest police station to be processed. A report on the arrest would be lodged by the arresting officer. If the gravity of the situation had not yet dawned on the suspect, it would soon change when he is led to the waiting Black Maria in handcuffs. Female detainees will be processed, escorted and shadowed by female police officers throughout the 60-day detention.
Yang dialami baik semasa zaman kecil ataupun sekarang penyakit, kita akan catat di sini untuk pemeriksaan kali pertama. Tujuannya kita tak nak mengelakkan ada kesan pukul yang baru. Jadi kita rekodkan semua benda. Kita katakan tempat tahanan. Okey. Pergerakan daripada keluar saja daripada bilik ni ke kenderaan adalah menggunakan cermin mata dan bergari. Itu saja yang untuk tindakan di sini. Bila sampai di sana nanti kita akan buat sekali lagi pemeriksaan badan juga, itu pemeriksaan kali kedua.
If he is deemed violent, he will be restrained in a straitjacket. The opaque glasses stay on the detainee and he is forbidden from removing them. When he alights from the Black Maria, his first stop is the records room. A pair of black opaque glasses is then put on him, limiting his vision. Sensory deprivation is an effective psyops tool. The journey to the police remand center, which is shrouded in secrecy, begins. The location of the PRC is a closely guarded secret and has remained so since the 1980s. The facility is a gazetted detention center, and the special branch goes to great lengths to ensure that its location remains known only to a select few. They do this by using sweeper cars to ensure that they are not being tailed and that the route ahead is clear of any obstructions and surprises, such as an ambush. The Black Maria, an Isuzu 3-ton truck in nondescript white, could be mistaken for an ice truck, except for the fact that the heat inside is unbearable. Inside there are 7 small compartments, one for each detainee. Each comes with a small padded seat, a blacked out window, a sliding metal door that can be secured with a lock, and nothing else. Air comes from 2 small ventilation hatches on the roof of the truck. If the sun is unforgiving, a window up front, near the driver's side, would be opened. The detainee is watched like a hawk. The drive can be disorienting, and the detainee's equilibrium will be thrown out of balance. Coupled with the heat and the panic that almost always creeps in, it's hard not to feel nauseous. A tip from the accompanying officer: take a nap. Even if the PRC was just 15 minutes away from the police station, the trip could last anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to throw off the suspect and any would-be attackers.
The first thing when we arrive here, yang utama sekali kita akan buat documentation and registration. Documentation and registration. and this will be handled by Ketua Pengawal, and then also bahagian barang orang tahanan. And thereafter kita akan gerak ke bahagian medical, di mana kita akan buat pemeriksaan 100% on medical. Kita ada MA untuk buat pemeriksaan, plus our own medical unit yang akan membantu.
Ini adalah satu prosedur kat sini. Kalau boleh, segala jenis cik punya barang-barang kemas kena tanggalkan. Lepas tu dekat dalam badan ada macam besi, tulang ke, ada.
He is given a gown and is thoroughly processed by PRC personnel for any signs of injury, old or fresh. Any marks on his body is noted. This will be tallied with the results of a similar screening he had undergone at the police station earlier. He is then briefed on lock-up rules by the officers on duty, and his particulars are taken down. These include his last known address, place of work 5 years ago, his closest friends, and if he is a member of any social, religious or political group. His possessions are taken away, packed and catalogued. He will get them back when he walks out of this place.
Saya lah dokumentasi semua ni, saya akan bagi nombor 01 palang 12. 01 palang 12. Bila orang anggota pengawal panggil, awak kena menyahut.
The detainee is then fingerprinted. He is then given an identification number like 01/12 to indicate that he is the first prisoner to be detained here this year. From that day forward, and for the duration of his stay in this center, his name ceases to exist.
Ini kita akan panggil menggunakan nombor sahaja. Sebab kalau kita panggil nama, nanti okey lah. Macam dia ni, tak boleh jumpa dia ni. Kalau dia dengar nama kau dia ni, dia tak puas hati, contoh. Tapi kita panggil nombor, dia tak tahu siapa tu nombor ketiga. Itu reason dia, keselamatan juga.
Once this is concluded, he is given the basics to live and survive in this place, like a copy of the Holy Book, a prayer mat if he is a Muslim, 2 pairs of prison togs in navy blue, a small water scooper, a pair of slippers, a tube of toothpaste, a toothbrush, a bar of body soap, a bar of detergent, a face towel, and a pail. He has to make do without a comb. Extra pillows and mattresses are only given if there's a medical need and based on the camp doctor's recommendations, or as an incentive for a detainee to cooperate with his investigating officer. He then puts the dreaded glasses back on and is guided to the infirmary, where a medical assistant from the Kuala Lumpur hospital is waiting to run a medical check on him. His blood pressure, weight, height and glucose readings are taken. One detainee, whose glucose reading was off the charts, had his reading taken 6 times a day to effect treatment. The MA re-examines him for wounds, scars, identifying marks, bruises, abrasions and welts, old and new. His medical history, allergies and special needs are laid bare. Everything is jotted down in a form. The medical needs of the detainees here are supervised by the MA. On top of that, a specialist from HKL drops by once a week and is on call 24/7. If a detainee needs special medical treatment, he or she can be referred to any government specialist at any time. In the event, a 4-man security detail is assigned to the detainee. Otherwise, whatever information the detainee gives to his interrogators will be useless. Blindfolded, he is taken through a maze to his detention block. An outer gate with metal bars greets him. The head guard is the only one with the key. He unlocks the huge padlock, and the detainee is ushered in after his eyewear is removed. The security personnel is unarmed and is not even allowed to carry his handphone. In the event of an emergency or an attempted breakout, he will bang the hot switch on the wall behind him, setting off the alarm. They test the system for the detainee's benefit. The shrill scream of klaxon pierces through the hallway. The guards are rotated every 2 hours. On the left side of the block is a cell for special cases, those with a predisposed medical condition, prone to violent behavior, and those who are generally uncooperative. Each cell is assigned 1 detainee. The 7 by 12 feet cell comes with a squatting toilet and a faucet. Detainees shower and answer nature's call in the same place. Privacy is in the form of a flimsy plastic brown door that's chest high. Just a few feet away are 2 concrete blocks lined with thin pieces of plywood. The detainee's bed and a place for him to put his government-issued belongings. There are no socket points and fans. Circulating air comes in the form of rectangular slits in the wall, about 15 feet high. Adjacent to each of the 6 detention blocks here is a courtyard where detainees are allowed some fresh air, to exercise and get some sun, a privilege given to cooperative detainees. The open courtyard is ringed by 3 blocks of buildings and anti-climb fencing topped with concertina wires.
I think if you take from the skyline, it will appear to be a shopping center, macam shopping center. Daripada from the aerial view kan, mungkin nampak macam kawasan shopping center ke kondominium ke. You will not be able to identify that it is tempat tahanan.
Almost always, the detainee will undergo an indoctrination session with his interrogators on the first day, which seem like a get-to-know-you fireside chat. This can last up to 4 hours. From this session alone, interrogators would be able to assess and gauge the weaknesses and strengths of the detainee. A full-blown interrogation, which can last throughout the 60-day detention period, begins the very next day. Although the hours allowed are between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., the interrogators would begin their sessions from 8 a.m. To the casual observer or untrained eyes, the first sessions are usually more of a get-to-know-you affair, but the seasoned interrogators are already hard at work, probing chinks in a detainee's armor, identifying his weaknesses, and figuring out how to exploit them. The methodology used to extract a confession is shrouded in the black arts. They started using psychodynamics techniques about 10 years ago. This comprises a mixed bag of tricks, from interpersonal relationships to the planting of information, garden home variety psychology, disinformation, personal issues, family conflicts, to subterfuge. But it always starts with appealing to the detainee's conscience. It is said that it would take anywhere between 24 hours and 14 days for detainees to crack. Should interrogators fail to break the detainees, especially if they are hardcore criminals, the entire interrogation team is replaced. Detainees spoken to denied being tortured, rubbishing claims that it has surfaced time and time again. However, this in no way diminishes the effects of the new methods of interrogation. Some admitted coming close to losing their sanity and that they were subjected to immense pressure. While the detainees are allowed access to their counsels and family, this would happen only with an interrogator's consent. This would be after the detainees had cracked. Meetings with lawyers and families are done through the Federal Police Headquarters in Bukit Aman, and the detainee is brought out of the center the same way he was brought in. Lockup rules allow a half-hour access to the detainees.
Kamu tahu tak perbuatan kamu telah melanggar undang-undang kerajaan dan sebab itu kamu dibawa ke sini untuk disorasi.
Betul kan buat? Tak dengar buat sikit.
Betul tuan.
Ha?
Tak buat tuan.
Bukan kau ambil je?
Tak tuan.
Tak. Tapi kalau saya tunjukkan benda tu, kau ambil macam mana?
Dia tipu. Tak ambil tuan.
Siapa tipu?
Awak kenal Ruslan?
Ruslan mana tuan?
Jangan nak berdalih. Ibu cakap itu tu. Kau kenal ke tidak Ruslan tu? Ha? Sikit.
Berapa mana awak kenal dia?
Setahun.
Oh, dia kata kau ambil. Mana satu ni? Kau suruh kumpul dua-dua kan?
Sikit tuan.
Jadi kau kata tak ambil. Yang ni kau ambil.
kalau saya tahu, kau boleh tolong saya tu.
Tengok pada maklumat yang kamu bagi lah. Kalau kamu bagi maklumat kat saya yang tak betul, macam mana saya nak tolong? Ataupun kamu nak tengok dia keluar, kamu masuk dalam. Dan dia juri dengan duit tu. Kamu nak macam itu? Kalau ni, kalau kamu nak dia masuk, kamu masuk, pulang. Ataupun kamu nak dia masuk, kamu keluar, pulang juga. Kali atas kamu. Saya dah tak kisah.
Kita ambil separuh-separuh tu. Dia ambil separuh, saya ambil separuh.
Ambil separuh-separuh. Okey, bab dia tak apa. Mana boleh letak benda tu?
Ada rumah.
Rumah.
If investigations are wrapped up earlier than the 60-day permitted deadline, the rehabilitation process would commence at the centre before they continued the process in Kemunting. This, according to authorities, would allow detainees to be half rehabilitated by the time they get to Kemunting. Although the PRC had stopped welcoming ISA detainees as the preventive law had been repealed, it will still play a major role in the fight against organized crime, such as against secret societies, narcotics, vice and syndicates.